Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Water Week. We're going to be covering an issue which has been prevalent over the last week, apart from the daily things that we do every day at 9:15 p.m. Now, we're looking at the 3rd to the 9th of August. This is the name, this is the email address, this is the discount code, and this is the Telegram channel. The PPT of the slide has already been uploaded on the Telegram channel in a PDF format, so you could always have a note of it, you can have a download of it, and you can annotate or take notes while the class progresses. Now, today we are going to be talking about nuclear policy. Now, before we get into nuclear policy, I'd like to refer to some very basic concepts and then get ahead with this. Okay, so to understand nuclear policy, it's a very simple exercise. You need to understand three unrelated concepts. Concept number one, the quote unquote cool gang. In our lives, we've all seen a cool gang. When we were in school, when we were in college, there were a bunch of these really cool people. They did all the fun stuff and they got away with it. This is also in modern day called nepotism. Yes, the favorite word of the Bollywood film industry. So nuclear policy is actually based on a lot of nepotism. That a couple of cool people did a couple of cool things. Now they don't want everyone else to do the same cool thing because then the coolness would be lost. Clear on this? Do we understand this? Simple enough? Good. Second, this is also very, very important. Nuclear energy is a lot like a sleeping pill. It can help you sleep well, or if you overdo it, it can also cause significant health problems. Yes or no? Clear on this? Nuclear energy is a lot like a sleeping pill, which means you have it in a little bit, it's okay, it can help. But under no circumstances, I will not recommend this. This is just for an example purpose. Why do people take a sleeping pill? Because they have a problem sleeping. Please understand this. This does not mean you start popping sleeping pills. I'm not a medical professional. I do not have the ability to prescribe any of this. Please, ye mat karna. Clear on this? All right. Okay. Second is if you overdose it, there are significant health impacts. Understood this? Good. Third, the whole nuclear policy debate, okay, this is kind of important, is also based on the elder sibling, younger sibling conundrum. If you're a younger sibling, you would have definitely gone through this. The elder sibling had a night out, did all the fun, cool things in life, and then the elder sibling tells the younger sibling, don't do this, it's not good for you. Who the hell are you? Why are you telling me? You've done the same exact thing. Yes. So nuclear policy is based on three very simple principles. Okay. All of these are based on a common ideology versus have nots. So your entire lecture today on nuclear policy is going to be based on this. The cool people get to do cool things and the not so cool people don't. Second, you overdo it, there is going to be a problem. Third, and this is kind of important, the elder ones get away with everything and the younger ones are then put up the hold. Now, that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Now, this obviously applies to nuclear policy. For example, the countries that have developed programs, the countries which have developed nuclear arsenals, now tell everyone, listen, you should not do it, it's not good for you. Second, nuclear energy has two purposes, civil purposes and military purposes. It can generate electricity or energy for you. At the same time, it can cause massive loss of life and property, right? And this is kind of important. Just give me a second. All right. Yep. And third, you've done the mistakes. Now you're preventing everybody else to commit the same mistakes as you. You should allow people to figure out their own path. Now, let me sort of draw a picture for you today. right? Realistically speaking, nuclear energy contributes to about just 10% of the world's energy. Just 10%. The remainder of it comes from other sources. These other sources include other renewable and non renewable sources. Second, there are a few countries like France where 70% of France's energy is sourced through nuclear means. But at the same time, this has a massive, massive side effect. For example, the US alone, till today, has generated about 80,000 tons of nuclear waste. 80,000 tons. So the nuclear energy program, or the very idea of nuclear energy, is not a very simple and a straightforward element to begin with. And we don't interrupt in the middle of the class. This is not a video conference. This is a class. Please behave yourself. Clear on this? Understood this? Yes. Next, as you would know, there are two formats of nuclear energy: fission and fusion. Now, I'm not going to get into the technical specifics of it, but if you would understand, if you bombard neutrons to uranium, it releases two more and it starts creating what is called a chain reaction. This is dominantly used in nuclear energy. Now, understand this: this is the one which produces the most amount of waste. Okay? This is the one which the world has technologically kind of mastered. This is the technology that most reactors in the world use. Fusion is the future. FU, FU. Fusion is the future. Fusion, FU, fusion, FU, future. Where it works on the same principle as the sun does, right? Where the heat and the gravitational force of the sun makes atoms collide and fuse into one another. And this creates 3 to 4 times the energy of a fission reactor and has next to negligible waste. Has next to negligible waste. Do we understand this? Are we clear on this? Yes. Now, this is something we should be doing. This is something where the future lies. But this, of course, is unimaginably expensive. If this is expensive, you have no idea how much this would be. For example, on an average, a fission reactor takes about 20 years to make, okay? And at the same time costs anywhere between 200 to 250 million dollars for it to fully function. Clear? A fusion reactor is far more expensive because you have to recreate the conditions of the sun. You have to recreate the anomalies of the sun. And please understand how this works. For that, you sometimes might have to use very heavy magnetic fields, very heavy magnetic chambers for the same. Clear? So that is something from a very generalist perspective you must understand about nuclear energy. And it is the same fission and fusion reaction capabilities which generate energy. And this energy could be used for a military purposes as well as civil purposes. Do we understand this? The same civil purposes and military purposes are generated from the same format of running energy. Okay. For further information, you can always, I'm going to give you a couple of examples on this. For those of you who have a Netflix account, I would recommend this, that you should definitely do it. There is a series called History 101. In History 101, there is a brilliant episode. I think it's number 5 or number 6 on nuclear power. Okay. If you want, it's a 20-minute episode. You can definitely watch it. Clear on this? It's a lovely episode. You can definitely watch it. It'll give you a lot of information on the same. Clear? Okay. Good. So that's the basic. All right. Okay. Now, let's come back to why we are here. We are here for the exam. So we must study exactly what is needed for the exam. Okay. So let's have a look. All right. Now, we study this from a very, very concentrated perspective. And you must understand this right at the very beginning. As I said, there are two primary purposes of nuclear policy: civil and military. Now, both of these have two ramifications: international and domestic. International and domestic. Now, please understand, how do you use these? As far as the civil dimension to international nuclear policy is concerned, okay, as far as the civil dimension to international nuclear policy is concerned, you would largely be using it in the mains. For example, whenever we have bilateral meets, whenever we have heads of state or summit level or strategic dialogues, you will often hear of countries signing nuclear cooperation agreements with each other. Yes, you've definitely heard of those. Those are essentially cooperation agreements between two countries to share nuclear technology, nuclear material, nuclear capability for civilian purposes. Do we understand this? For civilian purposes. Please get this in your heads very, very clear. Under no circumstances will two countries officially, formally, in front of the world, tell them that we are helping them build a nuclear reactor for military purposes. Remember this, because if this is where students go wrong, because when they're writing your mains answers, please understand this. One of the most common mistakes you make is when you're writing an answer on disarmament, when you're writing an answer on nuclear policy, you say, oh, Russia is helping build the Bushehr reactor in Iran. Okay, understood this, no problem. But then you write, Russia is helping build a military capable reactor. That is wrong. Please understand there is a reason behind this. And the reason I will discuss in the next few minutes of class when I talk to you about the agreements, the treaties, the documents which specifically forbid growing of nuclear arsenal. Do we understand this? Which specifically forbid growing of nuclear arsenal. Understood this? Are we clear on this? Very good. This is why, and this is a very, very common mistake that most people do. So, what is the utility of civil nuclear policy on the international front? You will use these as examples in bilateral relations between two countries. For example, you would remember in Manmohan Singh's tenure, India and the United States had jointly agreed to a nuclear deal. It's also called the 123 deal because of the section 123 of the Atomic Act, okay, which allows for transfer and trade and exchange of capabilities, and allows India to also deal with other countries which the US had previously forbidden. Clear on this? It's an outdated deal. I don't need you to get into the technical details of it. All I need you to know is that we have something called the 123 deal, or the nuclear deal, which allows US and India to cooperate towards building civil nuclear energy. Are we clear on this? Is the word civil clear? This is very important for non military purposes, for non weaponized purposes. Okay, now come here. As far as the domestic part is concerned, okay, as far as the domestic utilization and production is concerned, please understand this is incredibly important for the pre and the mains in two different perspectives. As far as the pre is concerned, if you know, in the and the Hindu did not report it, and I'm very upset about with the Hindu for not reporting it, but in the third week of July there was a report where the Kakrapakar, I'll talk about this in the subsequent minutes in class, India's largest civil nuclear reactor is now functional. They have reached critical state. which have reached. Guys, can you stop commenting? Do you think I don't know what it is? I've read it, I've prepared it for class. So if I ask for your comments, tell me your comments. There's no need to tell me what is criticality. मैं पढ़ के आया हूँ भाई, टेंशन मत लो, सब बताएंगे, सब बताएंगे, होल्ड ऑन, सब बताएंगे. स्लाइड्स अगर आपने खोल के रखी होंगी आपको सब दिख जाएगा वहां पे. ठीक है, ऑल राइट. सो recent developments are important. And second, as far as the mains part is concerned, this is also important. Okay, exactly my point. So as far as the mains part is concerned, you must have to prepare a consolidated note on nuclear energy. Key, how can we harness more, what can we do more, and your larger suggestions to the process. Okay, so this takes care of your approach for the civil part of it. Now come for the mains part of it. Okay, now this is important. Military becomes important on the international front for both the pre and the mains. Okay, military becomes important from an international front for both the pre and the mains. For example, we've seen questions on IAEA, we've seen questions on the nuclear suppliers group, we've seen questions on nuclear weapon states. There have been direct questions in the exam with respect to these things, and I will tell you why. If you see a lot of these questions, they were around the 2016 2017 prelims. And do you know why? It's because it's after the Obama visit when India started getting membership to a lot of these cool gang groups, to a lot of these cool people groups who used to, trade with each other. So the larger questions on treaties and organizations were asked. Yes, that is actually true. So I'm going to cover each of these. I'm going to cover all the major ones. I'm going to cover what India's state is and all of those things. Okay, so that's important from the prelims perspective. From the mains perspective, okay, now please understand this. Now, if it's a nuclear warhead, you can't obviously throw it by hand, you can't swiggy deliver it. So it has to be mounted on top of a missile. It has to be mounted on top of a larger weapon, right? So that is why the end of it is called a nuclear warhead, right? The conical part of it is called the warhead. It's inside which your substance is there. Now you would have heard of Agni 1 2 3 4 5, BrahMos 1 2, right? So whenever they are in the news in the last 1 year, they become important. Do we understand this? This is why they become important. Are we clear on this? This is how questions are asked. Okay. And then as far as the mains is concerned, highly unlikely, because we do not have enough of we don't have enough, we have not been affected by it, but you can definitely write it as one of the dimensions to internal security, which is nuclear security. And there are essentially three kinds of nuclear threats. Okay, now listen to me carefully. There are three kinds of nuclear threats. Nuclear threat number one, when a terrorist organization develops a full-fledged weapon and fires it at you. So Al Qaeda or Lashkar-e-Toiba or ISIS or Al Qaeda in Iraq, AQAP as it's called, any of these guys make a big nuclear weapon and they throw it at us. That is threat number one. Threat number two is they infiltrate into our security system. They are able to, they compromise the security of our weaponized nuclear infrastructure. Clear on this? Understood this? That's the second threat, where they hack or they're able to infiltrate. That's the second part, or which essentially means they reduce our in defense capability or our ecosystem. The third is you don't have to launch a missile, but as I told you, there is a radioactive waste, there is nuclear radioactive waste, and if you start contaminating it through biological or chemical warfare, that is also the larger element of nuclear security. There are three dimensions to this. One, someone throws a bomb at you. Second, someone hacks your nuclear weapons. And third, someone contaminates the environment around you with nuclear waste. Okay, someone contaminates the environment around you with nuclear waste. Clear on this? So that in fact is your structure also for nuclear security. Now remember, this is your boundary. and you can't question this boundary, you can't go beyond this boundary. Whatever will be asked within this ecosystem. Clear on this? Understood this? Right. Now, for example, the last question we got on nuclear policy was, what impact does the US Iran nuclear deal have on India? Okay, that was the closest we got there, because there is not much that has happened. And also, let me go out on a limb here and tell you, there really hasn't much that has happened in nuclear policy over the last 1 year or so. If you read the newspapers carefully, you would know this. On the international front, there really hasn't much happened. Am I correct? Yes or no? There really hasn't much happened. Yes, very good. So it automatically restricts your eyes and ears on how to prepare for nuclear policy as far as the exam is concerned. Good. So let us start. I'm going to start with international, then I'm going to go down to national. Okay, very good. Can you hold on, Sudhanshu? I have not even touched the India part. Yes. So, for example, I haven't touched the no first use policy or deterrence policy. Hold on. Okay. The class has just begun. Learn to be patient. Okay. I'm going to keep calling out people if you do not start to behave in class. Okay. Because it's high time you learned online education intakes. Okay. It's high times you learn online education etiquettes. It's high time. Okay. Chalo. Let's start this. The first, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA. Clear? Now, what do you need to know about this? First, its headquarters is in Vienna, okay, in Austria. Sorry, okay, its headquarters are in Vienna, Austria. This is very important. There's a misprint here. Vienna in Austria. Clear on this? This is very important. You need to know this. You get the questions here in free. Now, what does it do? Peaceful. Okay. IAEA promotes the peaceful uses of nuclear energy by its member states. Two, safeguards. It implements safeguards to verify that nuclear energy is not used for military purposes. And third, nuclear safety, which promotes high standards of nuclear safety. Simple in this. So, IAEA is like the class monitor for nuclear energy, right? And we all know we don't really listen to the class monitor too much, right? And India has been one of the founding members of IAEA, in fact. Clear? So IAEA says you will only use promote nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. India says, of course, I believe you. Two, we have to implement safeguards. And I say, of course, I'm showing you my safeguards. I'm telling you the kind of safeguards I have in place. So don't worry about that. We'll take care of it all. Don't worry. And third, nuclear safety. Okay, nuclear safety, where you're supposed to promote high standards for leakages, for damages, for any nuclear disaster that can happen. So, and apply, and please understand this, the IAEA is subject to the first rule of foreign policy, which is national interest and sovereignty. I will only allow you to come check if I want to have you to come check. That is why India does not allow IAEA to come and check, do you have a weapon or not. We don't allow it. We've decided to not allow it, and there's nothing you can do to stop us from allowing it. That's a very important point. Please understand this. Countries have the right to reject IAEA inspections. Okay, I'll repeat this again. Countries have a right to reject IAEA inspections. Of course, you can start building pressure on countries by sanctions, by here or there. All of those things happen. Clear on this? But anything that the IAEA does is not to be forced down the country. Clear on this? Okay. In fact, the whole US Iran issue was this. Iran did not want IAEA to come inspect. And when they were partially okay with it, and then finally the deal and the agreement came out to be. Are we clear on this? Do we understand this? Good. And allow me to take a minute and sort of just walk you through this. Okay. Allow me to take a minute and let me sort of walk you through this. Okay. Just be patient. We're going to learn something very important here. It all started in 1938, where two Jewish scientists, okay, discovered something called fission. They discovered and they were able to finally figure out how nuclear fission works. Okay, now you would remember this, and this is important. So you would remember this. The Germans, headed by Hitler, took over this research, captured this research, and started building it because there was an ability, a propensity from this research to be converted into a military use. Clear on this? When this research was happening here, military was not on the horizon. It's later then they figured out, they said, oh, military can also be done. And of course, Hitler was that time leading a political movement saying that the Germans are the superior state, the superior race, and they should prevail all over the world. Now, at that time, a very, very popular man in science, Hitanshu, the name of the Jews are not going to be asked in the exam, so I'm not going to tell you. Please don't interrupt in class. Okay? Now, all right? Now, a very, very popular man in science, Albert Einstein, wrote a letter, wrote a letter, okay, to Roosevelt saying, we've got to beat the Germans and build something of our own. And this led to setting up something called the Manhattan Project. Manhattan Project was also internationally collaborated with UK and Canada, and that is how the West started building their nuclear capabilities and their nuclear arsenals. Clear on this? Understood this? Yes. Yeah, that's the history of it. In fact, the man that we know as the genius was actually one of the people behind starting this. I bet a lot of you did not know this because it's not often talked about. It's actually an undisputed fact. So that's the idea. Clear on this? All right, lovely. Now, push comes to shove. Do you remember the Hiroshima Nagasaki bombings, which single handedly ended the World War II? Yes or no? The Hiroshima Nagasaki bombings single handedly ended the World War II. Now, here is the thing, from the Germans to the US to USSR, correct? Correct? This is how the nuclear race began, right? The nuclear, little man and fat man, absolutely Akshay. This is how the nuclear race began. हम भी बनाएंगे, तुम भी बनाओगे, तुम भी बनाओगे. Go back to the cool gang. So the cool gang has their own sign language. They say hi, what's up. Cool gang 2 says, I'm going to do my own thing. Cool gang 3 makes your own. Remember the whole cool gang principle? This is the cool gang principle. If you're not allowed to be a part of it, we'll do our own thing. And that actually began all of this. Clear on this? Understood this? Yes? Good. Now, here's the thing. While all of this was happening, the world has seen some of the worst nuclear disasters ever known to mankind. The first ever, you've not watched the lecture from the beginning, Hitanshu, so that is why you don't know what it is. So please don't again comment in the middle of the class. The class starts at 2 p.m., 12:30, so it starts at 12:30. Always remember this. Okay? Anyways, you can always watch it later on. It's all available for free later. Anyway, so let's come back to this. Nena, can you stop? Thank you. So, the first ever nuclear disaster, or kind of a nuclear leak, which was ever recorded, was actually in Pennsylvania, then Chernobyl, as we all know. In fact, the theory behind Chernobyl is the amount of radioactive waste that Chernobyl generated was actually 300 times the atomic bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay, started. Ayushi,
It's
can you
one
please
o'clock.
hold on? Can you please learn to hold on? Thank you. Started from Russia, Ukraine, and from all the way to Russia, and even went all the way till the United Kingdom. Clear? And most recently, and you know what the irony is? This is a very interesting story I want to tell you. A very, very interesting story. So, who was affected the most with Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Obviously, Japan was. Yes or no? And you would expect Japan to be somebody who would hate nuclear energy? No. Japan has been one of the leading countries of the world to achieve energy self-sufficiency. Sudre nahi wo. They wanted to become energy self-sufficient. Right or no? Energy self-sufficient. And it is only when the Fukushima disaster that happened in Japan, the Japan had a massive earthquake and flood that led to a leakage and damage to the Fukushima nuclear plant, and that is when Japan put a hold on its nuclear program. By 2000, Japan was using 30% of its energy from nuclear sources. So if you see the world has been all over the place, which is why you needed an organization like IAEA to put it all together. The IAEA is a lot like the Financial Action Task Force, but for financial crimes. So IAEA is nuclear. One second. Is for nuclear monitoring. Okay. So peaceful uses, safeguards, and nuclear safety. Clear on this? I do not need you to know any more detail as far as the IAEA is concerned. Clear on this? Okay. Good. Okay. Now, let's look at some treaties in a chronological fashion. Remember, we're now going to look at the Cool Gang complex, where essentially a bunch of people who want to do this don't let you do the same. Okay, let's start with the first. Please understand there's some very key concepts are here, with some very, very important current data. The first of it all, the Treaty on the Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, NPT. At the end of this class, I'm going to give you an excellent source on disarmament, and that source will, all that you need to do is go through that source a week before this exam. Let me finish this up. Thank you, Mandeep. I'm really fine. So, the Treaty of the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons of 1970. What does that treaty say? That treaty basically divides the country into two parts. First, nuclear weapon states, and second, non-nuclear weapon states. So, nuclear weapon states are whose? Who are these? US, Russia, China, France, and the United Kingdom. Do you find anything common here? Is there anything else that they're all five commonly known as? Very good. Excellent. So the simplest way to remember is P5 are officially called nuclear weapon states. And of course, that's exactly what they did. Sure. So the idea was that the nuclear weapon states are going to pursue general and complete disarmament. Wink, wink. Okay. Sure, that's going to happen. Okay. And I explained to you how this has not happened with pure data. And the non-nuclear weapon states, everybody else, will not develop or acquire any nuclear weapon whatsoever. Of course, if you say so, I'm going to agree with you. Now, here is the problem. The NPT, even till today, even till 2020, the NPT has the widest adherence of any arms control agreement. Okay, Gautam, Guram, not the time. They have the widest, they're the largest arms control agreement. Okay. Now, there are only these countries which have not signed the NPT. South Sudan, it's a new one. India, because hum to banayenge. Israel, because boss, I'm too cool for you. Israel is that really cool guy who ends up becoming a scientist later on in your group, who everybody did not talk to. Then Pakistan, because हम वो करेंगे इंडिया जो करता है. Clear on this? So as of today, these are the countries which have not signed the NPT. And also, your question should be first, sir. Question number one, sir, what is a treaty? A treaty is nothing but a multiple country agreement. Do you understand this? It's a multiple country agreement that we all agree to do this, but we all know everything is conditioned on sovereignty, which basically means I will see what I have to do, but I will let you know if I've really done it. Now, there is a very, very important piece of information I'd like to share with you. There's something called the Stockholm Peace Research Institute, SPRI, the Stockholm Peace Research Institute. They are the leading research agency on disarmament and nuclear policy. They are the ones who conduct very, very complicated, they're the ones who conduct very, very detailed studies. And just 3 weeks ago, they've released the 2020 report. Okay. Do you now understand how all of it is connected? They released the report before the Hiroshima Nagasaki anniversary, right? And Dhruvo, we understand what the abbreviation is. Don't worry. Okay. So that and coincides with the Hiroshima Nagasaki anniversary, and the Hindu picks it up and now writes editorials on nuclear policy. Clear on this? So as of 2020, the US, Russia, UK, France, China, India, Pakistan, Israel, DPRK, North Korea, they all possess 13,400 nuclear weapons, out of which 3720 were deployed with operational forces, which means this is a sham. However, please understand this. You might think, sir, the world is going nuclear. Please understand this. We still have about 13,000 nuclear weapons. It is significantly less than what we did in the 70s and 80s. So it is on the decline, but people really have not shut nuclear weapons down. That's the key point. That's the difference between an informed aspirant and an aspirant which has only read headlines. So what happens is we have a tendency to grab what is in the news right in front of us. So when you see the 13,400 figure, you're like, oh my God, we're going nuclear. But understand this, over the last few years, the amount has substantially declined. We had about 70,000 nuclear weapons in the world in the 70s and 80s. Today, we have about 13,400, and everybody seems to have to get one. Clear on this? Do we understand NPT? Good. Then after NPT happens the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. Okay. Now, what is this? It says it prohibits any nuclear weapons test explosion or any nuclear explosion anywhere in the world. Clear on this? I don't want to complicate it. Nobody is going to ask you complicated questions. नाम में लिखा हुआ है Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. Clear on this? Now it has been, please understand this. For it to be implemented, for it to be properly enforced, everybody should sign it, right? For example, this is a lot like a mass bunk. I'm sorry for my throat today, though. This is a lot like a mass bunk, okay? If even one kid shows up, the mass bunk goes off, yes or no? है ना? Even if one kid does not show up, the mass bunk goes away, right or not? Yes. The same works with Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. This is nothing but your mass bunk philosophy. Clear on this? For this to work properly, all countries should have ratified it. Now, the beauty of it is China, India, Pakistan, North Korea, Israel, Iran, Egypt, and the United States. The one country in the world which is supposed to be, the spearhead of nuclear disarmament, is the one who hasn't signed it. वही होता है ना क्लास बंक में, अगर एक बच्चा बोलता है मैं नहीं करूंगा बिकॉज टीचर में इंप्रेशन खराब हो जाएगा, तो दूसरा बच्चा बोलता है जब तक ये नहीं करेगा तो मैं भी नहीं करूंगा. Isn't that how class bunks work? That is why class bunks are never purely successful. Understood this? So US is like, if you don't do it, I'm not going to do it. So nobody's doing it. So it becomes kind of a problematic exercise. Understood this? And please understand, this is something that is often unknown. If you have to become a member of the IAEA, you actually have to submit your documentation to the US, and the US then submits it to the IAEA. That's actually the channel. A lot of people don't know this. It's actually a fun fact, a trivia. Clear on this? Understood this? Clear on this? Yes, because the founding rules are the same. Okay, clear? Good. So, CTPT is this. You can't test it anywhere, but well, not happening. All right, good. So, is India a nuclear weapon state officially? Remember, there's a trick question आया था. Is India a nuclear weapon state? Has India ever declared that we have a nuclear weapon? Has India ever declared we have had a nuclear weapon or not? Really, we haven't. तो अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी रेजीम में क्या हुआ था फिर 90s के टेस्ट के बाद, राइट? क्या हुआ था फिर? What is the whole concept of minimum deterrence if you say, what are you using deterrence for? Clear on this? So hold on, I'm going to answer that question. Please understand this. As per the NPT, India is not a nuclear weapon state, but otherwise India is. ये देख रहे हो? ये. These are the 9 which have formally acknowledged that we have nuclear weapons. Do you understand this? ये समझ में आ रहा है? There are 2 classifications of this. Nuclear weapon states as per NPT. इंडिया ने तो एनपीटी साइन ही नहीं करी, तो हमको फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता. एंड न्यूक्लियर वेपन स्टेट्स जनरली. क्लियर ऑन दिस? सो इंडिया इज हियर, इंडिया इज नॉट हियर. So read the prelims question carefully. You understand this? Which of the following is a nuclear weapon state as per NPT? India is not the answer. Okay, clear on this? But which of the following formally recognize? India is a part. Do you understand this? Now recollect the prelims question. The prelims question was, which of the following is an NWS as per NPT? Now remember the prelims past year question? Yes or no? Yes? Yep. This is why people got the question wrong. Clear? Okay. अब आ जाओ हमारे सप्लायर ग्रुप, द कूल गैंग नंबर 1. क्लियर? क्या हुआ? In 1974 इंडिया सेड ये एनपीटी सीटीबीटी का मेरे को नाटक नहीं चाहिए, मैं अपना अभी खुद का बम फोड़ेगा. So they went and they tested a bomb in Pokhran. They had a nuclear test in Pokhran. Is this a nuclear bomb or not? Well, I don't want to get into it. Nobody's ever going to ask you this, so you don't need any clarity on it. For greater, you can always watch a movie on this. So the Pokhran test, the first Indian test that happened was Pokhran. The test was also called Smiling Buddha. Clear? So the NSG was formed in 1975. Okay. Now I'm going to tell you how this works. Okay. Let us say you're in a college. बहुत ध्यान से देखना है, बहुत ध्यान से देखना. This is a very important concept. Let us say you're in a college. Okay. Now your seniors would have written some projects. Now only the cool people in your college, who are cool friends with your seniors, because they party with the seniors and they get the seniors certain consumption devices, they become cool friends. Clear on this? So the seniors give them the projects. Okay. Now they have the projects, so they control the projects. Only then poor people like us, lost people like me, I had to go to the cool gang and say, bhai project de de yaar, maine nahi padha hai. And then they would be like, boss, sorry, You've got to be cool to get this. If you want this, then tomorrow we want a mass bunk. You have to support us in the mass bunk. Now, are you able to put two and two together? Yes. This in nuclear policy is called MCTR. Okay. This in nuclear policy is called MTCR, Missile Technology Control Regime. Okay. This is what is called. The cool people got the missiles. The cool people got the nuclear warheads. Understood this? Okay? All right. Simple enough. अब कोई complication होना ही नहीं चाहिए. Are you able to understand this? So, the NSG governs the transfer of civilian, okay, governs the transfer of civilian nuclear material and related equipment and technology. What does it want to do? It aims to prevent exports for commercial and peaceful purposes from being used to make nuclear weapons. Clear? It wants to prevent. वही मैंने आपको बताया था. You can't formally look at regulating it because you have the NPT, you have the CTBT. You cannot have nuclear tests. Nuclear tests are always for nuclear bombs. कोई nuclear test में energy नहीं बनाता है. वो सबको समझ में आता है. Which is why Pokhran was an issue. Clear on this? Okay, right? Good. So the NSG members are expected to forego nuclear trade with governments that do not subject to confidence building international measures. Who are giving you these international measures? These international measures are being given to you. These international measures are being given to you by who? IAEA. Are you able to connect it now? Yes, very good. Now, India is not a member. They never wanted India to become a member because first Italy had a problem for a very long time, US had a problem, then Italy had a problem, then China had a problem. Clear on this. But Obama uncle I and Obama uncle ne kaha, no, 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 we are going to be nice to you. I believe in world peace. Yes, we can. And then in 2008, India got an exception that even if you're not an NPT member, you can still enter into nuclear trade because, ladies and gentlemen, if you did not do this, US and India could not have the 123 deal. Do you now understand this? Clear on this? So it was a very well thought out plan. Give India an exception under NSG so that India can have civil nuclear trade, then sign a multi-million dollar nuclear contract with India, get some money out of us, and well, India will always be very grateful. America really, really helped us. But what you really understand is it comes down to pure economics. Understood this? It's very interesting actually if you look at it from a larger perspective. Clear on this? Yes. Good. Okay. Now, how you have NSG as one, you also have two chotu ones, the Wassenaar Agreement and Australia Agreement. India has also been made a part of the Australia Agreement and the Wassenaar Agreement as well. So see, this is what it looks like. I'll zoom it, don't worry. So the Wassenaar Agreement was established in Wassenaar in Netherlands. Okay, its secretariat, however, is in Vienna in Australia. What does it do? The Wassenaar Agreement actually controls the export of conventional arms and dual use of technology. So Wassenaar is about the larger disarmament, whereas whereas NPT was about nuclear disarmament. Okay, now India was inducted as a member. It does not deal with nuclear weapons, and China, Israel, and Pakistan are not members. So India tries to feel cool about this. Source is the internet. Source पूछ रहे हैं सूरज सर, है ना? गूगल कर ले, मिल जाएगा भाई, यही लिखा है. और ये if you see my Telegram channel, I've already uploaded this in international documents way before. Not really Wiki Dhruv, I'm cool enough to not use Wikipedia. मेरे को थोड़ा ऐसे इधर दर्द होता है विकीपीडिया यूज करने में. ठीक है, हाँ देखा देवांश has the hard copy. Australia Group. Australia Group, the headquarters have not been mentioned because they meet in different countries year on year. It's a bilateral, multilateral meet. Australia Group is about biological and chemical weapons. This Wassenaar is about conventional weapons. And again, India has been inducted, does not deal with nuclear weapons. Here, China, Israel, Pakistan, and Russia are not members. Clear on this? Clear on this? Do we understand this? Just give me a second. Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. Good. So I'll put this sound together in one place so that you understand what this is. So this new portal is being a problem. Nuclear Supplier Group for nuclear weapons. Wassenaar Group for Asla, Gola Barood, Wasipur. And Australia for chemical and biological weapons. ये clear हो गया? Simple बता दूँ ना. That's the simple explanation. That's all you need. Okay. NSG for nuclear. ये nuclear cool gang है. ठीक है. Wassenaar for conventional. And Australia group for biological and chemical. This is like the cool gang for projects, right? The cool gang for experiments, the cool gang for journal writing. Okay, you don't have to remember the members. Clear on this? Understood this? Okay, good. Excellent. Very good. ठीक है. Done. The last part. कंप्लेंट तो कर दिया आपने, मिसाइल तो रोक लिया, न्यूक्लियर तो रोक लिया, अब मिसाइल को कौन रोकेगा? So for that you have the Missile Technology Control Regime Program of 1987. It basically says, fine. So people were like, fine, I'm not going to make nuclear bombs, but well, what I put in my missile doesn't matter. Right? So they said, ऐसा नहीं चलेगा. You're saying, I have banned the bullets, but guns are allowed. Guns are also not allowed. That is what. So it aims to limit the spread of ballistic and other unmanned delivery systems, which could be used for chemical, biological, and other nuclear attacks. Okay. It has 35 members here, and India is now recently a member of it, by the way. Now see how it implements and how it impacts. It says, includes most of the world's key missile manufacturers. They say, you restrict your export of missiles and related technologies which are capable of carrying a 500 kilogram payload at least 300 kilometer or delivering any type of weapons of mass description. Iska matlab, if you are somebody who manufactures a missile and you are a part of MTCR, your missile cannot have more than 500 kilograms of masala and cannot have a range of more than 300 kilometers. Clear on this? This is, and please understand, Russia is a part of it. India is a part of it. We buy BrahMos from Russia. Do we not? Yes. Now under MTCR, Russia has to reduce the 300 kilometers. If you're able to think on that level, automatically your BrahMos question on the range reduces. समझ में आया? They've asked you range questions on missiles. You can actually link it to MTCR and understand this. If you're a member of MTCR, your range cannot be more than 300 kilometers. Samjha? Clear on this? Yes. Please understand, I as a person work on least effort with most output. So if I work on that, I will also teach you the same process. Clear on this? Okay. Now, little bit of India. Right? Marxist, not capitalist, Utkarsh. Capitalist is my parent organization. Okay. Now, India, please understand, possesses both nuclear weapons and an extensive nuclear cycle capability. India tested its first nuclear device in 1974. India is neither a member of NPT nor is a member of CTBT. And India has facility-specific safeguards with IAEA. So on a case-to-case basis, you can come and check our inspections. But if you're coming to check how we are making our bombs, we will not allow you. You can only see what I want to show you. Clear on this? Understood this? Are we clear on this? This is okay. This is simple. That we will only show IAEA what we want to show you. Clear on this? This is like screen sharing, but limited screen sharing. Okay. And we have a nice little waiver from the Nuclear Suppliers Group, allowing it to participate in global civilian or nuclear technology commerce. Clear on this? Understood this? Yes? Yes or no? Clear? Okay. Lovely. Now, last, India institutions. I need you to know a few institutions, just the names and what they do. The Atomic Energy Commission is essentially the larger governing body. The second is the Department of Atomic Energy, which develops nuclear technology and application of radiation technology in various fields, including agriculture, industry, and scientific research. Department of this thing, okay, nuclear technology. Third, the Atomic Energy Regulatory Board is like SEBI. Please bark, Vamsi Rukja bhai. The Atomic Energy Regulatory Board is like SEBI, but for nuclear sector in the country, that you don't violate the basic norms. Okay. And then you have the NPCIL, the Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited, which is a PSU under the Department of Atomic Energy, responsible for operating nuclear power stations in this country. जितने वन न्यूक्लियर पावर स्टेशन है वो सारा का सारा NPCIL में अभी के अभी अंडर में है. ठीक है. BARC is just one of your research agencies. Do we understand this? Some data that you should know for writing your mains answers. We had something called the Integrated Energy Policy in 2006 और हमने बोला था हम 63 गीगावाट बनाएंगे 2032 तक. Today we are at 6.7 gigahertz. आधा भी नहीं किया है हमने. Clear on this? We are very, very long behind. Okay. And current affairs, India's biggest indigenous nuclear power reactor came operational as criticality. आज जो सुबह क्लास में बच्चे मेरे को ज्ञान दे रहे थे, achieved at the country's first 700 megawatt plant at the Kakrapar Atomic Station in Gujarat. Clear on these? Okay. Understood this? Good. But Atomic Energy Commission is a lot like the National Education Commission, Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog, that we are planning to make. It is a governing body. वो शिक्षा आयोग बना रहे ना जैसे वैसे. 123 deal is the nuclear deal between India and the US to share civilian nuclear energy. Alright guys, I need to get some. Baki is not important. समझ में आया? Clear on this? Understood? Okay. Now, you need to understand two very simple principles of India's nuclear policy. One, no first use. Okay. Please understand this. We are not going to use our nuclear energy first. हम अपना बम पहले नहीं मारेंगे. That is the first part. Second, deterrence. हम ऐसा गन लेके चलते हैं. If you go to UP and Bihar, I remember at a very long, many years ago, I'd gone for a case to Saharanpur, and to receive me at the Saharanpur railway station, I remember it was Prayagraj from Delhi to Allahabad, and Saharanpur comes Shahjahanpur. My bad. Shahjahanpur. Sorry, two very different things. I think Shahjahanpur. Yes, Shahjahanpur. Shahjahanpur comes. So it was a friend of mine was. Had some case there, so he asked me to come represent him. I can't tell you the details of the case because you will then hate me for being a lawyer. So to come and receive me at the station, there were some 5 people, a bolero, each of them carrying one gun, and I flipped. As an urban resident, I flipped, and that's what I understood. That is what deterrence is. कि मेरे पास बंदूक है तो तेरे पास भी बंदूक है. Clear on this? Understood this? Good. Excellent. So remember the structure. This is very, very important. Never go wrong with this structure. This structure can take you everywhere. Remember this. Okay. Understood this? All right. Thank you guys. I'll see you at 3 o'clock for President and Governor. We'll do it in an hour. President and Governor is damn easy. And this is done. So I'll see you at 3 o'clock for the polity revision series. I'm sorry I'm not able to take questions today. I really have a bad throat. Okay. Understood this? Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye.